apologize ahead of time. I'm due for a pedicure, definitely. But very important that I talk about this. So we're going to talk about 3 major points of your sole, your foot. It's going to be this point, and about the middle of your heel. It's going to be this tripod. Now we all know tripods, or things in 3-point stances, are more stable than things that are 4. So I want you to think about 33% of your weight here, 33% of your weight here, and 33% of your weight right there. So while you guys are trying to stand right now, I want you to think about evenly distributing that weight onto these 3 points. Alright, so hopefully you have your 3-point stance on each foot. You got that distributed from 33% from the inside, outside, and the heel. So this should kind of put you in a little bit more of a, you might feel a little bit slightly forward by, let's say, 1 degree. That's about where you're going to start, and that's actually what you should be feeling for most of the people that generally throw their weight back and have more weight on their heel. That's not the correct way. So we're going to look at the knees, and you're just going to slightly unlock that, but you have that 1 degree forward lean, and you want everything to be relaxed. This should be a balancing act. Now, a lot of research has gone towards children, and a lot of children or infants, they don't have the strength to get themselves up, believe it or not. So they're able to actually balance themselves really well, requiring the most minimal amount of strength, and able to achieve these tasks such as walking or standing. So we can do that as well. We just forgot how to do that because we've compensated with all our strength, and over time we've just broken ourselves down adapting poor habits that we've adopted from watching others and our slight inclinations. So you got that 33%, and what we're going to do is then we're going to focus on the hips. The hips, you don't want it to be too far forward. Some people have this kind of slouched posture or this little sag posture. You can see this on my profile like this. This is called the posterior pelvic tilt for the scientific people, but this is what happens. You've got a little stretch here, but this is kind of this like flattened area. The other folks have this, what we call anterior pelvic tilt, a lot more pressure on those lumbar discs and vertebra. So we really want to try to find that happy medium, and that's what we call pelvic neutral. So we want to be in that pelvic neutral. So you still got the feet position, the 33% on each point. Then you've got the slight unlocking of the knees. Then you got that pelvic neutral. Now the next thing is to really think about your bowels. So you're going to come up to your abdomen, and you're really going to focus on actually positioning that on top of your pelvis. You don't want to think about the spine, because actually the spine is actually set more posterior. So everyone thinks about that military posture, and that's actually far back, or far, leaning back more than you really need to, and that's going to also give you stresses in your neck and lower back. So you actually want to set your bowel right over your pelvic, or this, what we call this pelvic brim, this pelvic floor area. It's going to sit right on top of there. And then you think about the stomach area of that is going to lay on top of that bowel. So you got this bowel here, you got the stomach, then your lungs are also going to be set on top of that. So you're using your organs or your viscera as your placement holder, how you dictate your postures. It's very important, because that's actually, if you do it right, you should touch your lower back. You shouldn't feel any muscle activity whatsoever in those paraspinals. And that's great, because then you're not loading your spine all that much. So we're going to go this way up to the lungs, and you've got that nice rest. Now we're going to focus a little bit more on the upper body, and what I really want you to do is, a lot of people with that forward shoulder and the forward neck, we have to retract from that. So a lot of that forward posture goes a little bit like this. You see how the shoulder blade is almost a little bit on top of that rib cage. Now, rib cage is pretty expansive. Our first rib is actually right here at the apex of our shoulder, or that's also where our lungs are going to be. That's the #1 rib, and you have to know, you have to try to clear that. What we got to do now is actually reset that So how you reset it is actually you're going to bring your arms out to the side. You're going to reach up, kind of like that sun salutation that people do in yoga, and you're going to slide it down like this. And that's going to reset that shoulder blade on the back of your rib cage. And then you're going to bring your hands forward just like you're holding some plate of something, and then you can let it relax. And that keeps you a little bit more relaxed, especially you don't have to use or require that much strength in the back, in the upper back. Some people will just roll it back this way, but actually clearing your rib cage, very important. And in the frontal plane, it's going to look a little bit like this. Just sling it back, bring it forward, and there is relaxed. So we just a little checklist. Go over, make sure you got your ankle, your foot in the right position, slight bend to the knees, then everything, all your viscera, your lungs, your stomach, your bowel, resting on top of each other. It's almost getting you a little bit more to that 1 to 2 degree lean forward. Now the rest, the head actually should follow suit after you've cleared all this. So you just should be able, your head actually should be in line with your lung. So if you think about that, it feels a little weird. Your eyes almost look like they're going at a downward angle, maybe something like 15 degrees, but actually that's where the correct posture is. Your neck muscles shouldn't be firing all that much, and your lower back shouldn't be firing at all. And that's how you know you're doing this correctly. So once again, you got that relaxed position at the feet, then you go to the knees, then you go to the bowel, and your head rests on top of the lungs. You clear your rib cage, your shoulder blades across your rib cage by using this kind of motion, and then letting it relax, and it should be resting on top. So it feels a little strange if you haven't done this, but in the end, it's more efficient. You're not stressing out those vertebrae, your spine. Thank you very much.